The text came at 6:47 a.m., just as I was buttoning my shirt for work. Spending the week at Dad's. He's not well. Don't worry, I'll keep you posted. Love you. Her name, Emily Redheart, sat at the top of the message thread. The little red heart she'd added months ago when things between us still felt whole. I remember staring at those words, love you, and feeling a faint ache in my chest. Her father had been sick on and off for years. It wasn't unusual for her to spend a few days there helping him. But a week? That was new. Still, I didn't question it. Not right away. You don't start a marriage by doubting the person you share a bed with. You start by trusting. But trust, I'd come to learn, can rot quietly, like wood eaten from the inside by termites. The first odd thing happened 2 days later. I was throwing out the trash when I noticed a small cream-colored envelope in our mailbox. The handwriting looked delicate, looped. Definitely not from a company. My name, Daniel Cooper, written neatly across the front. No return address. I tore it open on the porch. Inside was a printed photo. A little grainy, like it had been taken from a distance. It showed Emily at a cafe I didn't recognize. Across from her sat a man, tall with dark hair, leaning in just a little too close. Her smile wasn't the polite kind. It was the one she used to give me, soft, private, the kind that said she was happy to be exactly where she was. No note. No explanation. Just the photo. I remember sitting there on the porch steps, the morning sun rising behind me, burning against the back of my neck. My fingers shook as I turned the photo over, half expecting some message. But the back was blank. I wanted to believe it wasn't what it looked like. Maybe it was an old friend. Maybe it was taken long ago. Maybe someone was playing a cruel joke. But deep down my gut whispered something colder. This is how it starts. When she called that evening, her voice was calm, normal. Dad's still not great, she said. I might stay through the weekend. You okay without me? Yeah, I lied. Just miss you. She sighed softly. I miss you too, Dan. But I could hear noise in the background. Faint laughter, a man's voice, maybe a TV. She said she was in her father's guest room. Her dad didn't even have cable. When she hung up, I sat in silence for a long time, just listening to the hum of the fridge. I could feel something unraveling in my chest. I drove to her father's house the next morning. It was 3 hours away, in a quiet neighborhood outside Ridgeport. His old Chevy was parked out front. But the curtains were drawn tight, and no one answered the door when I knocked. I called Emily. No answer. Then I called her dad. The line went straight to voicemail. That's when the neighbor across the street, an older woman named Mrs. Grant, opened her door and waved. Looking for Bill, she called. Yes, ma'am, I said. And his daughter, Emily. Her expression softened. Oh, honey, Bill's been in Florida for 2 weeks, visiting his sister. For a moment I couldn't breathe. Are you sure? She nodded. Saw him leave myself. Emily hasn't been here. The world tilted. I thanked her, somehow keeping my voice steady. But inside something cracked open. That night I didn't sleep. I sat in the dark living room, the photo in one hand, her text in the other, comparing them like evidence in some twisted case. She lied. Flat out lied. But why? And who was the man? 3 days later the mailman came again. Another envelope. Same cream paper. Same handwriting. Inside another photo. This time Emily was standing outside a lakeside cabin, her hand intertwined with the same man's. He was kissing her forehead. Her hair was messy, windblown, the way it got after she laughed too hard. I recognized the cabin. It was ours. The one we rented every summer. The place where we'd carved our initials into a birch tree and promised to grow old together. That's when the pain turned into something sharper. I didn't confront her immediately. I wanted to. God, I wanted to. But part of me needed to see it with my own eyes. To be sure before I destroyed whatever was left. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I waited. And I planned. By Friday morning, I'd taken the day off work. I drove up to that cabin, the one near Lake Marston, and parked behind the line of trees just off the dirt road. It was quiet except for the sound of birds and the low rush of wind through the pines. At around noon, a silver SUV pulled into the driveway. Emily stepped out first, wearing the red sweater I'd bought her for Christmas. Then he got out, the man from the photos. He carried a small duffel bag and put his arm around her waist like he'd done it 100 times. I sat there gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles went white. She looked happy. Effortlessly, cruelly happy. They disappeared inside. I didn't storm in. Didn't scream. Didn't make a scene. Instead I drove back home. And I thought. For hours. The next morning I made a trip to the post office. Bought a large envelope. Printed out all the photos, including a few more I found by scrolling through her hidden iCloud folder. She'd left her old iPad synced to our account. There were pictures of her and him, Ryan, as I discovered from a saved contact, on trips she'd claimed were girls' weekends. Paris, Denver, the lake. Then I added one more thing to the envelope, a copy of our joint bank statement showing the $3,200 transfer to a R. Mitchell. At the bottom, I wrote one sentence in blue ink. I hope he's worth what you threw away. I sealed it, addressed it to her office, and waited. It arrived on Tuesday. I know because she called at 1:14 p.m., voice shaking, breathless. Dan, what is this? Why would you? I didn't let her finish. I wanted you to see it all in one place, I said. The lies, the money, the man. It's easier to understand betrayal when it's printed on paper. She started crying. Please, I can explain. No, I said quietly. You already did. Every time you lied. Every time you left. Silence. Then a whisper. I didn't mean to hurt you. You just didn't care enough not to. I hung up. That night, I came home to find the house emptier than usual. Her things were gone, most of them at least. The space where her perfume used to linger smelled like nothing. For the first time in months, the quiet didn't feel heavy. It felt honest. 2 weeks later, I got another letter. Same cream envelope. Same handwriting. I hesitated before opening it. Inside was a single photo, not of Emily, not of Ryan. It was of me, sitting on the porch that first morning, holding the very first photo I'd received. And beneath it, written in neat cursive, she's not the only one who deserved to know the truth. No signature. No explanation. Just the unsettling reminder that somewhere out there, someone had watched it all unfold. My pain, my disbelief, my revenge, and decided to make me part of their story too. I keep that photo in my desk drawer now. Not as a trophy. Not as a scar. But as a reminder that betrayal doesn't always come from strangers, and revenge doesn't always bring peace. Sometimes it just ends a chapter that should have closed long before the mailman ever came.